Welcome to Scars to Stars, where conversations and personal stories let us know we are not alone. In this show, you will meet authors and speakers from our books and events as they share vulnerable personal stories to spread hope and inspire you through adversities in your own life. The world is a difficult place. You will find like-minded people here with kind hearts and supportive souls. I am your host, Dina Brown Mitchell. I am a suicide survivor and the founder of the Realize Foundation. I am so glad you are here. Let's dig into this meaningful conversation. Hello, everyone. It's Dina at the Realize Foundation, and I'm here with Benjamin today. And we're going to have a conversation about his story, which is fascinating, and hear a lot of things that he's overcome in his life. So welcome, Benjamin.
Thank you so much for having me. It's going to be a good time today.
Yeah. Well, why don't you just start with just telling the audience how your journey started?
Well, I guess it's only appropriate to start at the beginning. In kindergarten, as a little boy, was diagnosed with very severe dyslexia, being in the 1 percentile, really to the point where, a lot of specialists told me I would never read. And so, as you can imagine, starting off with that, it's tough, especially as a kid, and then being diagnosed year or two later with dysgraphia and dyscalculia. That's trouble with writing and trouble with math. So the big three, I call it. So originally, I was homeschooled up to high school. Went to high school, regular high school, thinking it's going to be High School Musical. I was thinking everybody gets along, grass is greener on the other side, it's going to be great. Well, it wasn't. Yeah, I did not like those times. Though in college was a lot better. I enjoyed that a lot, and I was part of a program called Startup Acculand, where I started an event production company organizing concerts eventually, but these days all across Texas. Shrader Promotions. So it's a good time. I enjoy that a lot. During the pandemic, as you can imagine, that hit a lot of businesses really hard. And so we had been able to, kind of just close our ranks, conserve as many resources as possible. And right when that was coming to an end, we were doing one of our first shows when we got back with Loud Luxury, famous DJ group. And I noticed just minor hearing loss and a little bit of pressure and a slight distortion of sound in my right ear. And it was minor, and I'm thinking, oh, what a tragedy. I was so foolish not to wear earplugs, to already have hearing loss at what would have been, I would have been 23. I said, boy, that stinks. Let me get it checked out. Let me get it checked out just to alleviate any worry. I go to the doctor. They look inside my ear. They say, oh, you look fine. But let's give you a CT scan just to make sure. So you give me a CT scan, that looks at your bones. And they say, oh, your bones look a little weird in there, but you might have grown that way. And then they give me an MRI, and I had another show coming up. So I was very busy. I was working, organizing my people. And I get a call from my parents out of the blue. And, my parents are wonderful people, and, I'm very close with them, but it was late at night. It was unexpected. And they said, Benjamin, the hospital called us because we're your emergency contact because they can get a hold of you. And they said to just come into the hospital tomorrow. Just walk in and the doctor will see you. And it is bad when the hospital is calling you to have you come in. I mean, without an appointment, that's bad. That's bad. I didn't sleep a wink that night. And thank God I took an Uber to the hospital because I wouldn't have been able to drive after the news I got. So I get there and I'm trying to mentally brace myself. And I sit down and the doctor says, okay, are you ready? I said, let's do this. and he says, "You have a golf ball sized brain tumor, an acoustic neuroma growing off your hearing nerve underneath your brain and pushing up against your brainstem. The pressure in your head is already very high, but if you do not get, and you're already at risk of a stroke, if you do not get this out within 1 to 2 years, you will die of a massive stroke." So, yeah, my first reaction was to laugh. It was comical almost. To be a young guy in college, organizing events, and finally, I finally got what I wanted. I got the fame isn't the right word, but I was known, and I was successful. And at the height of my success, being one of the last men standing, after the pandemic, I was struck down. And so I didn't tell anybody. I told my employees, I told the one person we had a big event coming up with. I said, "Hey, Mr. Quintana, want to apologize. I was just diagnosed with a brain tumor. I'm going to have to cancel our event." And he was very understanding. And my best friend, those are the only people I told. And I went radio silent. So 2 months later, I got the surgery to remove it. 61 stitches. You can see on the back of my head, I have a huge scar going like this. They cut me open, removed it, slapped some metal plates in to hold my skull back together, and then I had to get gamma knife. A few months after, I believe 6 months or a year after that. No, that would have been, about a year and 6 months after the brain surgery, and that was like a horror movie. Gamma knife is a type of radiation treatment that's very precise. So they have to put your head into a vice, and you are awake. And I refused to take the Ambien because I was like, "Oh no, I'll be fine." And hey, I want to remember this. They drill the vice into your head while you are awake so it can anchor onto your bones. First, they numb your skull, and the crack pop of them doing it, it was like Rice Krispie treats because your head is surrounded by something like a leather bag almost, is the best way to describe it. And when they put the needles in, oh my God, I'll never forget that sound. And then as they drilled the thing. So they put me in this, what looks like an MRI machine, bombards me with, I'm guessing, gamma radiation. And my biggest complaint, the nurse controlling the Spotify playlist did not have a premium account. So every couple of songs, it was, "We are farmers, Lowe's is great new deal." So that drove me a little crazy. But no, MD Anderson's the best in the world. They did a great job on me. And after that, the last of my tumor died. And for now, I got some testing done. I don't carry any of the genetic markers for this. So they're like, "Hey, we don't know why you got it. You'll probably be fine the rest of your life." So hopefully that is correct. And that
Awesome. Your video out for just a second, so I want to make a note that I need to edit. 8.
Oh, my apologies.
Oh no, it's okay. I just want to make a note so I don't forget. That is a crazy story because you did tell me a lot about your story when we talked earlier, but I did not know about that part. That's incredible. And you had to do that multiple times or just once?
You can only do it once every like 6 years just because of the radiation.
Oh my gosh.
And I didn't lose my hair, thank God. I'm very vain. I would have hated that.
Yeah. Wow. That's crazy. So were your parents with you or anybody with you?
Yes. So when it first happened, I remember after getting the news, I kept it together in the hospital and with the doctor. And when I went, sat on a bench outside and called my Uber. And, you're shaking almost a little bit. But I kept it together. Then I got in the Uber and I just told the Uber driver that I just was diagnosed with a brain tumor, and I just broke down crying. And the moment I got home, I called my family, gave them the news. And my parents are very good people. They took very good care of me during this. And, all my life helping me with reading therapy. I had 9 years of reading therapy, making a lot of sacrifices to get that for me and to homeschool me. And they were like, okay, yeah, Ben, you should probably come home. Because, we looked at a couple hospitals, and one of the first ones we looked at, oh boy, the tech was not up to date. And there was a real chance of me losing control of one side of my face, because in your ear canal, your hearing, your balance, and your facial nerve are all like tied together. So my hearing nerve was where the tumor was growing off of. It had destroyed most of my balance nerve in that ear already. And when I did lose it completely, I had to learn how to walk again. And that took about 6 months till I was actually able to walk well without falling over. Because you lose a balance nerve, you just can't tell where your head is. It's a very odd sensation, and you'll just fall right over. You won't really be able to walk. And so I went home, and they eventually we went to MD Anderson, just because they're a hospital in Houston, really known as the best in the world, the Queen, or one of the princesses, forgive me, the leader of Saudi Arabia. All these different people have gone there, because they're really good at what they do, and I can't recommend them enough if you ever have something major like this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So when through all of this, was that tied to any of the diagnoses that you had when you were younger?
Luckily not. Luckily not. They really, did no correlation between the dyslexia and the brain tumor. They really don't know why I got the brain tumor. And they've done research on the tumor. They've done research on my genetics, and everything seems fine. And I don't carry any genetic diseases. I don't carry anything like that. So they're a little, they're unsure. So I'm sure one day they'll discover, oh my gosh, he's this horrific mutant. But until that day, they're not sure why. And the dyslexia, there's a lot of good amount of research been done as of late, showing that that's just possibly the old version of the brain. And so we were the people that stayed up late at night and watched the camp and could remember things via oral tradition. The shamans, the warriors, and then society advanced past us. So if only we hadn't settled in the Nile River Valley, shoot, we could still be bringing down those mammoths.
Yeah. I wonder if do you think, since it started in your ear, it had anything to do with what you do for a living, because you're around loud music and speakers and all of that?
I had started wearing earplugs, it's possible, but I don't think so. I don't think that would cause, to the best of my knowledge, that wouldn't cause
Right.
a tumor. I know that they were perplexed, because especially one that size, they actually said I had probably had the tumor since high school, and that it had just been growing. I mean, because it was,
Yeah. Golf.
golf ball, fibrous and bloody, the doctor said. So that's great.
Yeah.
Because it was myelin sheath, so it's nerve coating tissue, what coats your nerve.
Interesting.
So very odd thing to get, and something very, very uncommon for someone my age. Normally, acoustic neuromas are pea-sized and in older folks. So, yeah, just the fact that I was growing at the same time that I got it, in high school, and I had no idea. I do remember, I was nauseous a lot of my life. And I just thought I had a weak stomach. And so
Mm.
I had no idea that it was because my balance nerve was being destroyed. And
Yeah.
that's why I was nauseous. And I remember so clearly, and at the time you have no idea that these are side effects. I remember so clearly one summer, I was with my friends and we were in high school and I could not walk straight. I kept walking into one of my friends and they were like, Ben, what's wrong with you? Are you drunk? And of course I didn't, I'm a stickler for the rules and I did not do anything like that. And I was like, no, how could you say that? And so I think that is when it started. And that would have been sophomore year of high school because that I remember I could not walk straight for the life of me.
That's crazy. That's probably good for the audience to hear the signs that you figured out, because
Yes.
and thank goodness you went to the doctor when you did.
Oh, thank God. I almost canceled it. I was so close to canceling it because it was right around New Year's and I was with my family and then I had a bunch of events. And so I was so close to canceling it. I mean, we were talking, it was on a knife's edge. And I was just like, yeah, no, I should get it checked out. And so, yes, don't be a hypochondriac. Don't worry about every single thing, but definitely, keep up with the doctor. It's important, and make sure to get things, especially when something. I think the best determining factor is when something feels off, when your body's telling you something. Because I had just my symptoms were so minor. I had no headaches. After the brain surgery, I had tons of headaches. But before, I had no headaches. I only had that nausea, which I had no idea, and that little bit of pressure, and only 2% hearing loss. So I had 98. I'm completely deaf in that ear now. I don't even have a hearing nerve. So I got nothing and rely on this one, which I've got 100% in. So just 2%. And these symptoms seem so minor. I mean, a lot of people would ignore them. I mean, if I had ignored them, I'd be dead. And so those when your body tells you something's wrong, don't ignore it. And I especially tell this to my guy friends, we're not invincible. We are very far from invincible. And you want to get things checked out.
Yeah. I'm so glad that you did and that you're here to tell the story, and
Oh,
hopefully it
yes.
will help someone else with those kinds of symptoms that don't know what is going on.
Well, what got me through it really, I'm a big believer in stoicism. I really am, because that's definitely a dark thing to go through. And myself, I've never struggled with um, suicidal thoughts or anything like that. It's for me, I'm like I am going at this run as long as I can, and so my thing more was just that it's you're angry, it's scary, it's hard to deal with, and I tried not to spread my pain because I can't imagine what my family was going through too. I'm their only child. My mother had me at 40, and so I'm the only one. I'm the last of the Shraders. Like there is no cousins. I have no or I have one cousin Robert. He's great, but if you believe he's 60 something. And so really there's no one in my line. I will be the last if I don't have a lot of kids. So I got better get to work on that. But I was definitely found it hard, but I said, okay, it could be worse. That is what got me through, telling myself that. Of course, prayer, uh, you know, keeping to religion. I'm Catholic myself, but the telling myself when I was lying in that hospital bed, it could be worse. It could be worse. I could have had brain cancer. It was a benign tumor, so no cancer. I could have had, it could have been the size of a lemon. It could have been all these things. There were so many things that could have been worse. I could have been at one of those hospitals that didn't have the tech to save my facial nerve, and then it would look like I had had a stroke for the rest of my life. The actor that plays the Hulk in the Avengers, he had the same tumor that I had, and he actually lost control of one side of his face. So he has to get Botox in some of it and a weight in his eye to help it close. And that's rough. I don't want to wait in my eye, you know? And so thank God that, they had the tech and they tried to save my hearing nerve. And they told me before that it was a less than 10%, considerably less than a 10% chance that they could, but they would try. And, being half deaf is not that bad. You don't notice it a lot. It does ring constantly, which is annoying because that's the real comedy of being deaf in one ear. It's not silent. Your brain is looking for a signal that is no longer there. And so it just rings. It's like loud tinnitus all the time. But most of the time, I don't even notice it. Now that I'm talking about it, oh my gosh, it's so loud. But when I don't talk about it, I don't even notice it. At night, if you roll over on one side, I have to, this is a bit of I make this joke much more inappropriately, but I'm going to keep it very family friendly for this. But I had to get a vibrating clock to put under my bed so that it would vibrate and wake me up. Because a lot of times, if I roll over onto my deaf side, I am dead to the world. I am not going to hear anything. So, and that's something usually reserved for the deaf, but applicable to my situation. I guess I'm half deaf, so yeah, a half in the deaf community.
Hi there, it's Dina. If you like our podcast and you're enjoying learning about other people's stories of overcoming adversity, please go over to therealizefoundation.org and support us by donating. We believe that conversations, community, and personal story can change lives and reduce suicide ideation. And we also have a way, if you have a business, you can support us without money out of your pocket. So go on over to realizefoundation.org and look at the donate page, and you can learn how to support us as a business, and also you can donate any amount. Thank you so much.
Yeah. My mom taught at the School for the Deaf when I was really little. And so she taught me how sign language when I was a kid.
Well, that's great.
So, anyway.
I had to take it in high school and go to the deaf church. And basically, if you have dyslexia, one of the accommodations often is that you don't have to take a foreign language. You can take sign language. And oh boy, it was still extremely hard. I was relatively incoherent with it. Salutation, and that's all I remember.
Thank you.
Oh yes, oh yeah. But technology, I think, will help a lot.
Yeah.
I know AI has been very helpful to me with my dyslexia. I don't use it to write because I feel that's not me anymore. But I had to write a couple emails yesterday, and I gave my AI a name, Lazarus. I think it's a fitting name for an AI, not quite dead, not quite alive. And I was like, okay, buddy, don't change anything that I wrote. Just put in proper punctuation for me and proper spacing. And boom, send it right back to me. I copied it, sent the email. And so that makes my life a lot easier. And I think there are a lot of things. I know I was testing out some augmented reality glasses that have a heads-up display. And there's one of them, one is this X Real, and there's another one that it will give a heads-up display of what people are saying. So whether it's translating a foreign language, and right in front of your eye, you'll be able to read it. And it can even speak it to you. And it's amazing. If you look up the augmented reality glasses translator on Amazon, it'll pop up. And I think tech like that, there's going to be a lot of great things for the deaf community that are really going to help them.
That's awesome. That's great. A great tip for people who might need that.
Even for dyslexics, the Meta glasses, the Meta Ray-Bans, if you're wearing them and you say forgive me, I don't want to activate anything. I don't know what AI I'll activate, but if you say, hey, Meta, and you're looking at something, forgive me, this is an empty photo album, but you're looking at a book and you say, hey, Meta, read this, it will read it. And it's pretty good. I mean, it does not make many mistakes. So that, to me, as a dyslexic, is a godsend.
Wow, that's incredible.
It is incredible.
And creepy.
Technology is amazing. It levels the playing field for my kind, you know?
Yeah. And sometimes it's creepy.
I
I don't know.
know the way I say it,
No, I mean like having Alexa or Siri, and it's like
Yeah.
it's always listening. It hears everything you say.
Yeah.
You know, like that.
I love AI. I'm a huge supporter of technology.
I am too. I just think there's a, you know, I don't know that I want something like that in my bedroom.
I know. I was making a little bit of a joke because
Yeah.
it's always listening.
Yeah. So I want you to tell people what you do now and what you've built, you know, through all of this challenging stuff you've been through.
Well, you know, the one thing I always wanted was, I know this might sound funny, but to be well liked and to be known. And I wanted that since I was a little boy. And for me, when I was in college, starting my event production company, I said, you know, college kids like to party. If I control partying, college kids will like me. And that was the deduction behind the entirety of my career. And so I said, Ben, I'm going to build that. I was out every single night, you know, when other kids were doing their homework or partying. I was wearing an ill-fitting suit, shaking the hands of bouncers, shaking the hands of managers, trying to get somebody to let me manage their social media or organize an event. And slowly, you know, that grew over time. So I still run Shrader Promotions. I believe we're coming up on our 9-year anniversary in October. You know, I have 2 people that work for me, and then you know, a couple contractors that we do a lot with. And I enjoy it. I love organizing things. I love organizing people and getting something together. And the beautiful thing about events is all the work that you put into it, in the end, you get to see all of it come to fruition, as the event is a physical representation of all that work you put in. And you know, to make people happy, to let them have a good time, and to organize something real great, and is a nice thing to be able to do. So I enjoy the event space a lot. You know, my end game, I've always wanted to go into politics. I enjoy that as well. But for now, you know, concerts, events, live music, I love it.
That's awesome. I spent 30 years of my life doing events, so
I know we were talking about that. That's very impressive.
It was I mean, I still I'm starting to do in-person events again for our own events in my business now, but you know, I used to have an event company and lost it all to COVID, and that's when I started this project. But I think, you know, I believe things happen for a reason, and although there are days when I miss that business and the people that I got to work with and all of that, you know, I'm thankful for how everything happened, even though it was hard for a while. You know,
that was a hard time. There were a lot of production companies, DJs, you know, people that I'd worked with for years that went under during that time. And I remember, you know, scrambling afterwards to find new people, just because, yeah, that was a tough time.
Yeah, they said, I mean, this was probably like a few years ago. I read something that said 300,000 small businesses closed during the pandemic. And I personally think it's a higher number than that, but
100%.
it's still just devastating, like how many families and employees lost their jobs. And the event industry is so resilient in so many ways. That was really hard. And I think now There are a lot of corporations right now that are cutting their budgets and stuff. And so the event industry in the circles I'm in and the things I'm seeing and reading are like they're kind of having PTSD from COVID, and like, budgets are being cut, where things are canceling, and I just hope that the economy turns around quickly and
Me
get
too.
all of their work back and get to do the things they love and that they're good at.
Indeed. Yeah, the event space is sadly, to admit, a shadow of what it once was. And the loss of all that institutional knowledge from those businesses that went under, the loss of, and people not being able to pass that on. You didn't have, I had someone years ago take me under their wing. I've taken people under my wing. I've, gave them connections, gave them, mentorship isn't even the right word, but just advice of what to do, what not to do. And that was all lost. So you've got people either starting from scratch or
Yeah.
people not even getting into the industry because of the risks. The only hope for the event space is actually bad for venues and bars, but good for the event space is that Gen Z, my generation, doesn't go out on a Friday night just to go to the bar. Doesn't go out for that. But they will go out for a concert. They will go out for an event. They don't go out just to drink or to do something like that. It's probably for the best, but drinking rates are down greatly with Gen Z compared to millennials, compared to Gen X, compared to baby boomers, and so it's lost a lot of the, I guess, cool aspect to it, where Gen Z will go out for a live event, but they won't go out just to party, I guess. And
Yeah.
that's something that I've seen firsthand.
Well, that's a good thing. I mean, I
Oh,
lived in,
yes, for the best.
I was a teenager in the 80s where that was very normal. um,
The good old days.
Even the 90s, but I think it's good. I mean, alcohol, there's a place for it, but it does destroy lives for sure,
100%. 100%.
and families, and yeah, it does. But I think that the event industry, we've talked for decades about training new people into the industry, because doing events is not a cookie cutter kind of thing you learn.
No.
It is there are so many different facets inside of the industry. You could be doing conferences, you could be doing, parties or holiday parties, you could be doing incentive trips, you could be doing concerts, and they're all so different, and they all have such different components to them, and what you need to know and how you need to design it all. And I think it's not just a lot of times people say, "Oh, you're a party planner," and I'm like, not really. I can plan your daughter's 5th birthday, yes, but that is not what I do on a normal basis. And I think it's an industry that's very misunderstood from people who don't understand it.
It is a little confusing, and that's something that originally, I had a little trouble explaining exactly what I did, which was funny, but it's mainly private events for corporate clientele is the majority, and the music aspect of that, or fraternities and sororities were in the beginning my best customers. Still do some with them, though they're going to give me an aneurysm. The stress. I love the Greeks, so they're great customers of mine, but I will say I always do events at a venue with them, never at the house. It's much safer for you. But no, it's such a personal based industry too. It comes down to who who likes you, who's going to recommend you, who's going to give you a good deal. It's all these, what can you offer this person so that they can offer this to you later, and it's all this very personal based. I spend years building up just a good reputation amongst people, and that makes life a lot easier. But it also is hard to scale. I have found when I send one of my people to one of our events, the manager, the owner, is going to be asking me where the bleeps Ben. Where he's going to be asking them where's Ben, and so there's that expectation. So yes, that's why I haven't ever gone beyond Texas. And I've done a few events outside of Texas, but for isolated things.
Mhm.
The vast majority of our events are Austin, Houston, San Marcos, College Station, San Antonio. To go beyond Texas would be go beyond the connections and the people that I have.
For now, you never know what that will bring, though, because um, when I started my event company, I was in a really small ski town in Colorado, and I had lived in other ski towns, and I knew a lot of the state. And in our third or fourth year of business, we became the Colorado partner for Global DMC Partners. So we had 75 partners around the world, and it was like a
Wow.
sales and marketing network. So, like, you never know what,
You never know. You never know.
you know?
I did get an offer to expand to Arkansas, but after looking at it, it would have been tough. Would have been tough.
Mhm.
I know that a great pleasure has been working with the two big production companies out here.
Mhm.
Number one being C3. They're great. They put on ACL and ACL Live. They do a lot with the Moody Center in Austin, Texas. And then,
Mhm.
of course, Night Culture, based out of Houston. They're the other big company. I done a lot of events with Night Culture, done a few events with C3, and they're good people. So
Yeah. There's a company in Austin called Red Velvet Events. Are you familiar with them?
I am not.
Or Stronghouse?
That rings a
I
bell.
think it's a rental company.
Okay, that's what I was going to say. That's what I was going to say because I believe I have not worked with Stronghouse, but I almost did once. Usually, I've used Lone Star Productions or Star Texas Productions, are two companies that I've rented staging and sound equipment from.
So Red Velvet Events used to be our partner in Austin.
Oh,
And the owner is Cindy Lowe. She's amazing. And
oh,
she bought Stronghouse like the last couple of years, I think.
oh my gosh! I have heard of her and met her once. She does a
Mhm.
lot of bookings.
Yeah, Cindy's
Yeah.
awesome. She's been in the business a long
Oh, you'll
time.
have to make a proper introduction for me. Thank you.
And you know what? One of these awards behind me over here, one of these is a joint award for Cindy's company and my company
Wow, that's pretty neat. That's
because
pretty
she brought
neat.
a corporate group to Colorado, and we did all the logistics in Colorado and worked
Wow.
with them. And it was really cool because the company came and thought they were going to stay in Denver, but we were taking them to somewhere up in the mountains to
Ooh.
stay. So they got to the hotel and we just told them their rooms weren't ready. And then we put them on a bus to take them to dinner. And we had them check into the real place and have dinner and stay there for 3 days. And
Oh,
it
that's
was,
great.
that's what we won the award for.
That's so funny. That's so funny.
It was a really cool event. So it was a good collaboration, and Cindy's awesome. I can't say enough good things about her.
Oh, well, that's really neat. That's really neat. I know there's an awards ceremony in October that I am going to be the chair of it and the MC.
Oh,
And for my dyslexic behind, I am going to have to read that list of names 10 times before I go in, just to make sure that I don't say, Michael is great. So I'll make sure to do that beforehand, of course. But I'll do a great job, and I have a couple people, but where we all get to decide, who gets these 12 different awards for this big organization. Um, and I'm like, can I give myself all of them or some of them? No, of course not, of course not. But I do love glass awards. I have a weakness for them. So as a little boy, I ran a YouTube channel called Commander Ben, talking about invasive species, science, and dyslexia. And so
awesome.
I won a glass award from the Lady Bird Johnson Wildflower Center and the Texas Invasive Species Database. Um, And that, oh my gosh, I was so happy. I love glass awards.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for sharing your story. I think we kind of went a whole different direction with this, but I think it's good to talk about the event industry.
I think it boils down to, if you have something difficult going on in your life, but you want more, go for it. Seize it. We got one life. All I want is one good life. That's all we get. So if you have a dream, you might as well try, or live with the regret of not trying.
Yeah, that is very true. Very true.
No shame in trying and failing, just in not trying at all.
That's true. Sometimes you have to fail a few times before you succeed. So just because you fail the first time and second time, keep going.
Amen to that.
Yeah. It's like when we learned to ride a bike as a kid. We didn't get it the first time.
I never got it. So
but yeah, I think it's, the more struggle you have to accomplish something, the more meaningful it is in my mind.
Amen.
Yeah. Well, thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. A lot of fun.
I'm so happy you joined us for this conversation. My wish is that you found comfort and hope in your own unique situation. If you resonated with our message, please head over to therealizefoundation.org, where you can apply to write your own story in one of our books. You can also download our 60 Ideas for Self-Care on the resources page. I can't wait to hear from you. Until next time, you are not alone, you are worthy, and you are enough.